Okay, let's get started. So, good afternoon, everyone. As we're admitting people in as we get started here. So, my name is Karen Fiorini, and I am Chris Murray's assistant, and have had the pleasure of working with Chris alongside him as his assistant. So, it's been a great opportunity for me. And what I'd like to do just to get us started is if you can put in the chat where you're coming in to us from, that would be great. And say hello, introduce yourself. That would be wonderful. We'll use the chat throughout the call here. So this is a great opportunity this afternoon that we have with Chris Murray. And Chris is an incredible guy, and he's been so closely mentored by Bob Proctor the last 10 plus years. And if you've had an opportunity to speak with him, you know what I mean. And, he's often referred to as a younger version of Bob Proctor. And Chris is just so helpful. He loves helping people. He is a real serious student of the material, and really allowing you to move you in the right direction of what it is that you really want, and really looking at where you're at today and taking you to where you want to go through this incredible material that we've been studying. And this week in particular, we've had an opportunity to really get a great glimpse at the paradigm shift and at what that live event looked like. And if you've been following since Monday, Bob started us off with paradigms. And then Tuesday, we started into goals with Sandy. And Sandy did a great 13-minute session on goals. And then Wednesday, Bob talked about frequencies. And then yesterday was all around decision making. And then today, to tie it all together, Sandy did a great session on the terror barrier. So if you haven't been able to watch the lives, as you know, the recordings are up until midnight on Monday, June 13th. So I really encourage you, and I will drop the link in the chat for the YouTube link, which is a great compact playlist. And it just gives all the segments, including the coaches' corners, which were excellent as well, which is our fellow people on our team as well, getting a glimpse and talking to them. So this is a great opportunity for you to just really sit back, relax, and come with your questions, because I just want to emphasize the importance of having this opportunity, undivided attention with Chris. And he is really going to answer those questions for you, just as you saw today on the Q&A with Mikey and Arash. So before we start, I'm going to have Chris introduce himself, and then I'll take it back and we'll start with a few questions that we've received from people that can't attend our event live here today. And because this recording will get sent out to everyone. So, and then I would ask you either to put your question in the chat, or you could raise your hand and we'll bring you on and unmute you. So before we get started, welcome. Good afternoon, Chris. And I'm going to pass it over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Karen. That was a great intro, and a younger Bob Proctor. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I'm excited to talk to all you guys today. This is, for me, it's one of my favorite parts of these events, because I get to actually talk to you guys and kind of help you guys, because the one thing I can tell you, there's so much great information here. But the one thing that I think most people are missing is direction. So they don't know how to put the pieces of the puzzle together to actually help them, change their lives. And I'm a prime example of this. As Karen mentioned, I've been working, directly with Bob for over, 10 years. But I started off like a lot of you. I was a student of the material. I was actually a client. I'd gone through several of the different programs. This is going back almost 12 years ago when I started off as a client, but even back further than that, I'd been studying this for probably 7 years before that. And in all reality, I didn't see a whole lot change in my life. And, it wasn't until about 12 years ago when it was actually Arash, who's been teaching the lessons each week. He was the one I connected with. And as you can tell, he's a very direct person. He just told me, he said, look, you know a lot about this, but you don't really know this. And he said, you don't really know it until your results tell you that you know it. And he said, it doesn't matter how much you've memorized and what you can repeat back. He said, all I got to do is look at the way you're living. He said, that tells me everything I need to know. And, he wasn't saying that to make me feel bad, because at that time things weren't great. He was just being honest with me. And it's like I mentioned, I just needed a little bit of some direction, and I needed to see it from a different perspective to get me to see it a little bit differently as well. So again, I'm really looking forward to talking to all of you today and getting to know you all a little bit better and helping you wherever I can. And that being said, why don't we jump into it? I know, Karen, did you want to start? You had a couple of questions people had submitted prior.
Yeah, I have 3 questions actually that people have submitted. So thanks for that.
Sure.
So Bob and Sandy talk so much about setting goals and the importance of them. And they reference really stretching yourself when goal setting and talked briefly about the ABCs of goals. So can you explain that in more detail? So the question is, I want to make sure that I'm setting the right goal. Please help. As well, I often hear, if you don't have a goal, you're lost.
There's no question, and honestly, that was me when I started with this, but I didn't know that. I remembered, so Arash had actually got me on a call with Bob, and the first thing he'll ask anybody when he was alive, he would ask, well, what do you really want? And, back then I just said, I want to create financial freedom. And he said, great. Well, what does that even mean? And I said, well, I want to earn millions. I don't want to put a limit to it. Let me make sure everybody is muted here. And he just said to me, he said, that's your problem. He said, you don't have a clearly defined goal. He said, it was at 1 million, 10 million, 20 million. He said, you might think that's a very small thing. He said, but that's everything. And, so when it comes to setting the goals, I do it a little bit differently in my approach to this. And this is something I would encourage every single one of you to do if you haven't done. But on day number 1, one of the first exercises that Monica gave us is to write out a vision for how you want to be living 12 months from now. And if you haven't done that, I'm telling you that would be step number 1, because what that does, that's going to allow you to create a vision for how you want to be living. Okay. Then from that vision, you can determine the goal. See, a lot of people will just choose a number, say, I want to earn $1 million a year, but they don't really know what $1 million a year will do for their life, what that will provide them and their family with. And to me, personally, I think that's a very weak goal. And, weak goals are always going to produce weak results. So you got to get clear on the vision first and foremost, because that will allow you to fuse with that goal. So going back to the question, Karen, I think you got to determine more first and foremost how you want to be living. Okay. And from that vision, you can determine what the goal is. But the goals, and Arash touched on it a little bit this week, they're not about getting, they're about growing. It's about who's the person you're going to have to grow into to be able to achieve that goal. So again, there's a lot of components to this. And there is, in my opinion, there's not a such thing as a right or wrong goal. It's whatever the goal is that you're fused with, that's going to get you into action and get you into movement. That's the key to all this. I don't care what it is, but whatever is going to get you fused and get you into action, I think is the key to all this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love that. And, Sandy referenced the terror barrier today, and having that, that X energy and that Y idea. And when we bring that Y idea, which is that C-type goal, we almost freeze and we think, well, we go to the how can we do this? So you're right. The vision, because we all have a vision of where we want to go and what we want to do, but it's the how, and it's what we've been studying this week is the paradigm, right?
That's right.
It just totally blocks you. So thank you for that. Okay. So our next question talks about around discipline, and Arash used this word numerous times this week with Mikey and in his presentations, and about being, a real student of this powerful material, and how you have to be disciplined when you are studying this material. So the question is, what is the discipline of a person what is the discipline I need to take on to become that person that I want? And because my paradigm is always in control. So how do I shift this way of thinking and get into action?
So I think number 1, when it comes to discipline, I think people have different understandings of what discipline is. And, Arash had talked on it. Discipline is just the ability to give yourself a command and follow it. But I think it all starts in disciplining our thinking first and foremost, right? So it's personally, because I get to work with so many different people and, from all walks of life, from, billionaires to broke. And I will tell you, I don't know anyone that earns $1 million a year that isn't disciplined. And typically discipline will carry over into all different aspects of life too. So it's not just one area, but again, it comes back to learning to discipline our thinking first and foremost. And well, what does that mean? Well, that means, like, let's say you want to get healthy and you're saying to yourself, well, I'm going to wait till Monday to get started. That's not disciplining your thinking. So that's not thinking like someone that's already achieved that goal of health. That's letting the paradigm find a good excuse to put something off to get started. Or, let's say you want to go create a business and you're saying, God, I'd love to go create a business, but I don't have any money right now. I can't go start a business. That's not disciplining your thinking. That's letting the circumstances dictate your thinking. So again, it's not thinking from your goal. That's thinking from your current perception. That's thinking from your current paradigm. And as long as you think from the same way that you've always been thinking, you're never going to get any more than what you've got today. So again, when it comes to disciplining, I think the most important thing is really learning to discipline our thinking. And well, how can you do that? Well, I think you have to have like check-ins with yourself and ask yourself, did I act like the person that would have achieved my goal today? Did I have the attitude of someone that would have achieved my goal today? Did I make decisions like someone that would have achieved my goal today? So if you want to create financial freedom, you can't make decisions like, I'm going to go start this as soon as this happens first. Because if that's the way you think, again, you're always going to stay stuck exactly where you are.
Mm-hmm. Great. And, those questions are so important, and we do them as a common practice. And, it's when if you answer, no to all of those questions, no, I didn't have the right attitude, and no, I didn't have the right urgency, I didn't have the right discipline, so the next day, what do you do with that? If you get all those no's, Chris, what do you do the next day when you wake up? Is it getting immediate, like recognizing those and saying, okay, I've got to be in check with my discipline, with my attitude, with my, can you just chat on that?
Yeah, that's such a good question, because again, I think a lot of the times people will beat themselves up. Like, if I didn't do it today, oh man, gosh, why didn't I do it? And it is what it is. Like, you can't change the past, right? You just change what you do going forward today. So you just got to become that person today. Like, I love the saying, commitment is a renewable resource, just meaning you can recommit yourself to your goal at any given time. I was actually talking to a really good client of mine last week, and it was one of our consultants out in Australia. And, she had fallen off. She had left her job about a year ago to focus 100% on consulting, started off really strong and then kind of wavered, right? And she hadn't done anything in the last 2 months, right? We ended up getting on a call. I just got her refocused on what she wanted, right? She's already gotten 2 clients in the last not even 6-7 days. Right. So again, we can recommit ourselves at any given time, but you just got to get fused back with what you want, and don't feel sorry for yourself. Like, don't beat yourself up. Just let it go. Forgive yourself and move on, because you can't change the past. You can only change what you do today going forward.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Okay. So the last question before we take questions from people online here is the importance of decision. And I want you to share with us here, Chris, is how did you start and what made you make that irrevocable, committed decision that I'm doing this no matter what, and I'm burning those bridges behind me and I'm going forward?
Yeah. So for me, again, it was like, Arash had talked about it, a little bit earlier about, to change a paradigm, there's 2 ways. One is the emotional impact, and then the one is really our methodology. And 11 and a half years ago, I was in a position where I was so unfulfilled. I was so unhappy. Financially, we were in a bad place, but, I could have easily gone out and found another job. For me, I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired, and even though my back was against the wall and I wasn't in the best place in a lot of different ways, I honestly believe it's exactly where I had to be to basically say, and excuse my language, I said, fuck it. Like, I'm tired of this. No more talking about going and creating this beautiful life. Time to get into action, because there's nobody that had more excuses than me. Like, I always had great excuses. And for 7 years before I got into this, I've been wanting to create my own business. And I was the master at getting into programs, like learning how to sell on Amazon, eBay, Shopify, email marketing, social media marketing. And I was just thinking, okay, well, this is it, right? This is my window. This is my opportunity, thinking the answer was in something outside of myself. And I would get into these programs, but I would find the same thing every single time. I would start it and I would do nothing with it. And if you would have asked me back then, well, why? What's stopping you? And I would have told you I didn't have the money, I didn't have the time. And those were like that's what I really believed at the time. But the truth is, those are just thoughts which were in harmony with my paradigm. And the reality is, it goes back to what I said earlier. If I didn't get help and I can get that direction from Arash, that initial call, I'm not even talking about when I got into this and started going through the programs and doing all that stuff. If I wouldn't have had someone that I knew and trusted that called me out on my BS and got me to see what I wasn't seeing, I wouldn't have made the decision. So again, I love what Bob used to always say, you got to make the decision on your own, but you can't do it alone. Just meaning at the end of the day, every single one of us needs help. We need support. And it doesn't mean just the strategy side of things. It means like the emotional side and emotional support side of things too. Because I promise you, your friends and family, they are going to be some of the worst resources around you. Napoleon Hill talked about this. And, you know, they see you for who you are today. And it's not that they don't want the best for you. It's, again, they see you from that perspective. And the truth is, they don't want you to change, because if you change, it forces them to change. It changes the whole dynamic. And even though this is consciously they want you to win, but subconsciously they don't, because it changes things. So again, for me, I think, Karen, it was my back being against the wall. And like I said, I was just so done with being and struggling. And it wasn't just the money struggle side of things. Like, it was every 2 to 3 years, I would go to a different company, and like, I was just done. It just wasn't what I wanted, you know. And step number one is I had to figure out what I really wanted. And I think that is one of the hardest things for most people to do. I think it sounds very easy, you know, but I guarantee you, I do this on a daily basis. I ask people, well, what do you want? It's very clear. If you ask them a couple more questions, they don't know what they really want. But you see, you can't tell people that. They have to have that epiphany. They got to see it for themselves. That's why we give these exercises. This isn't for us. This is for you. This is for you to connect those dots, to actually go inside, because until you go inside, I promise you, nothing's going to change. And this is just going to be motivation. And motivation without action is just delusion.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Thank you. Great answers there. I mean, that's it's so true. And it all starts with a decision, right? But you know, actually it all starts with what do you want, right?
That's right.
And then, but we get so stopped by that darn paradigm, right? It's like, how am I going to do this? And, you know, it's not the right time in my life. I don't have the money. My kids are still at home, and on and on and on. But when you, like, as Sandy shared today, when you crash through that terror barrier and you get to that other side, it is epic. So
I love that lesson. Like, all these lessons like go together, like everything works together. And it's like you said, like, because I think a lot of times people say, well, I've made my decision. But the truth is, decision is never through words. It's always backed up by actions, right? And like right before this call, I was talking to a woman that really wanted our help, right? She really wanted our help. She wanted to do the coaching program. She said, okay, give me a couple minutes. I'll call you right back and I'll get started. And she didn't. And I knew she wasn't. And that's okay. It's not a judgment thing. But you see, what happened is, the truth is, she hit the terror barrier. She went back to comfort and safety. And it's okay. It's like I said, commitment is a renewable resource. We can recommit at any given time. But again, that just makes people stay stuck. Like, we say we want these things, but the truth is, we hit that terror barrier and we let the paradigm make the decision for us. And we got to understand what fear is, right? And the truth is, anything that causes fear is going to make you uncomfortable. Your normal reaction is you want to go back to comfort and safety. You will start to rationalize. You will find every excuse of why you can or why you can't, whatever it is. But just understand, those excuses are what keeps you stuck. That's why, like, these sayings about, you know, life begins outside your comfort zone. These aren't just great inspirational quotes. These are absolute truths. But again, that doesn't make it any easier to make that jump and do it for yourself. Because the truth is, if you're going to win in life, I'm going to tell you, if you're really going to win in life, you have to have guts. You got to have courage. And if you don't have courage, the truth is, you don't deserve to win, right? The universe is just delivering. It's just working in harmony with how the universe works. It doesn't matter if you're a good or bad person. It doesn't matter. These are principles. and you got to live the principles. You got to apply them.
Yeah. Yeah. And seeing this also as opportunity, Chris, right? Like, this is just not more information for you to gather, for another week or another 5-day, if you've joined us from previous ones. Really take action here. And this is the whole setting of why we're doing what we're doing, and the Q&A here today. So I'm going to put it out to everyone. There is one in the chat here, and then Anita, I see your hand up as well, so we'll go right to you after this one in the chat. So Michelle is asking, so how do you act like you're already a millionaire when you have no idea how one lives?
Good question. So first and foremost, what I would tell you to do is look at millionaires. You don't have to know these people personally. Go look at somebody that you admire, right? Look at how they carry themselves, how they conduct themselves. Like I used to be I remember when I first really got into personal development, I was watching it was like an interview with Richard Branson. And, I was such a huge fan of his. Like I really admired like how he operated. He's just always having fun. I've read he's got like 500 or 600 different companies, right? And I was looking at this, and again, I was just looking at how he thought, how he conducted themselves. And now, if you really look at what he does, like he's not an expert in all these different things. He's an expert at creating successful businesses. But if you really study what he does now, he just looks for young entrepreneurs. He looks for people that he can mentor because that's what he enjoys. He doesn't need the money. The money is the byproduct of the service that he's providing. So he's just helping people achieve more things. But there's other qualities and characteristics that I didn't like. The other thing he had mentioned, he said he's got 300 different lawsuits going against him at any given time. I don't like that. That would not be a fun way for me to live. So again, you can look at different things and you can borrow it. Bob used to always talk about, like, he mimicked his walk after a friend of his that was a friend of his dad's in the neighborhood. And he said, I always admired the guy, the way he walked. So again, this is going back to self-image. You design all this stuff. You decide how you act and how you operate. But again, you can borrow these qualities. You can get a good book on someone that's created, 7-figure income. You can talk to people here. Several people on our team are earning 7-figure incomes. So you can listen and think about how they think, and you can accept part of it, and you can reject parts that you don't connect with. But if you're going to get a mentor, you got to do exactly what they're telling you to do. If you really pay close attention to what Bob always says, because I think a lot of times people think it was Think and Grow Rich that changed Bob's life. And it really wasn't. It was Ray Stanford, his first mentor. And it was Ray's belief in the fact that this was going to help Bob was stronger than Bob's disbelief. And Bob used to say it all the time. He said, I don't know why I did what he told me to do, because he said normally he wouldn't. But that's exactly it. You got to do exactly what they're telling you to do. And Bob used to always say, do exactly what I'm telling you to do until you find that I'm lying or that I don't know what I'm talking about. And he said, I don't lie and I know what I'm talking about. And I think that's easy to say we will do, but when the rubber meets the road, it's not so easy to do because your paradigm's going to fight you, and you just got to be aware of it.
Yeah. And I love how you bring self-image into that, because that's so key to anything that we want. And yeah, what is the self-image? How do we walk? How do we dress? How do we talk? How do we show up? Right? What's our attitude around that? So it's all of these things. So that's a great point.
I think that's the most important, Karen.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about this internally. Everything is image. It's everything. And, but here's the thing. If you don't know what you want, how do you know what kind of image to create? So all this stuff really does tie together. And, I was talking to somebody else. I don't know if it was yesterday, but I was talking about, one of the last conversations I had with Bob, we were talking about study. And we were talking about, and Arash mentioned it this week. He asked, do you believe that people can make those quantum leaps on their own? And, Bob just always he said, if you believe in what we teach, anything is possible, but it's not likely. It's because, again, to develop the discipline to see that and to connect those dots, he said that would take people 20 years. And he said most people wouldn't stick with it long enough and not see the results for that long. So again, I think we got to understand how to study. And I know that might sound strange, but we got to learn to study not just the information. We got to learn to study ourselves.
Absolutely. Love that. Love that. Okay. Anita, if you want to come forward and unmute yourself and ask your question directly to Chris, I'll let you take the floor.
Yes. Thank you, Karen. Do you hear me?
Yes.
We hear you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. First of all, I want to compliment you guys, the whole team of PGI, for taking on of Bob's legacy. It is just amazing. So grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have actually a 3-part question. Is that okay?
Sure.
Absolutely. Yes.
So first one is, what is the difference between just feeling the motion and really get into the feeling of your goal when you are visualizing?
Mhm.
You know, so how do I know the difference if I am on the right path?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I think when you're emotionally involved in your vision, when you're really fused with it, it's almost like a healthy obsession. It's like you go to bed thinking about it, you wake up thinking about it. But, to me personally, again, that desire has got to be built. See, I think people sometimes are waiting for the right idea, the right thing to come to them to find that passion. And the truth is, it's created, right? So you just keep going into it. Like for me, for example, like how I ended up getting into this, like never in a million years would I have thought about becoming a coach and getting into this industry. Never. Like my background was IT. So I would have never thought about getting into this business. But like the more I started to do it and see my life and everything change, the more I started to fall in love with the idea of doing this. So again, I think that passion is created. It's an energy. It's just the more that you get fused with what you want, the more that's going to show up for you.
Yeah, exactly. I can totally resonate with that, because I also I was interested in the material because it helped me emotionally very well. But through the line door, I got into it. No, I want to become a life coach.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of grew on me. And today in the morning meditation, I just, in the visualization with Bob, I don't know, I just cried the whole time.
Yeah.
It was so amazing. So that is then a sign for me that, and it was so real. So I think that is okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the thing, is you start to pay attention to the way you're feeling, right? And you start to trust yourself. Like the thing is, I think, look, we all have intuition, but I think, we don't really use it. We push it down. So we have these signs. I mean, to be honest with you, when I got into IT, when I within probably the first 90 days, I knew it's not what I wanted to do. Like I knew I didn't want to go work at any company, but I stayed for 15 years, right?
Wow.
Because I kept pushing it down. I just said, well, no, you got to go to work, you get that good job, work your way up, retire. That's the path you follow. So I think, again, that was my conditioning. That's how I've always been raised. That was my belief. So even though I had this feeling that wasn't really what I wanted, again, my conditioning kept taking over. My paradigm kept winning. So that's why I always tell people, at the end of the day, until you change the paradigm, nothing's going to change. And understanding that and knowing what a paradigm is and how it works doesn't really help us. You still got to do the work. You still got to change it.
Yeah.
So no, absolutely. You got to listen to those kinds of things, because again, I don't think that's there by accident. Like none of it, it's not there by accident. There's a reason it's there, but it takes courage to answer it. It does.
Yeah. And yesterday, during the Q&A with Cleona, I also had my aha, because I was always scared of making that decision.
Yeah.
The thing she said, that go into your wants, because not doing something is also a decision, and doing it is also a decision. So
absolutely.
that just hit me. I said, oh no, yeah, she's totally right. And totally grateful for that. Second part of my question is, so we are talking always about C-type goal. So if I set a goal about becoming a life coach, taking into account my financial condition, For me, it is a C type, but technically, is that qualified as a C type goal?
Well, again, we determine whether or not it's
Yeah.
a C-type goal, because again, it's like no goal is big or small. It's we make it big or small from our thinking. So, you know, when I started all this, my goal was a financial goal. I just wanted to get to 10,000 a month and work for myself. That was my first goal. And, you know, by the end of the year, I'd more than doubled that. And I wasn't like, yay, look what I've done. And like, I was looking back and saying, man, what a small goal. But it was just where I was thinking at the time, right? So again, it's all perception. Neither one is big or small, but it's a good question, right? So if you know that's what you want, see, what you want to do now, you want to start to think of ways in which you can do it, because immediately, if someone wants to go do something, they don't have the resources to do it. Immediately they go, you know, oh, I can't do it. So they just keep themselves stuck on that same frequency. It's the same thought, same feeling, same actions. Nothing changes. See, the moment you change the question in your mind, you ask yourself, how can I come up with the money to do it? Right? Automatically, you'll start finding ways to get it done. Now, the key is you got to stay on that. You got to stay on that frequency, right?
Yes.
So a lot of the times if people don't see it right away, oh, well, you know, maybe next year, right? And we put it off. And then 6 months later, that desire comes up again. And then we push it down, comes back up. It was me. That's exactly what I was doing for many. Yeah.
Also me. Yeah. Also, no, but I have done that for 2 years now. But now I think it's enough.
Yeah.
And
look, a lot of the time, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but a lot of the times I'm telling you, it's not what we think. It's not resources. It's being resourceful. You know, I mean, I have countless stories. I have so many stories of people that were not in the best financial positions when they did whatever they did. You know, so again, it's not the money. But and this is the article that we gave you guys to read. It's when you make the decision, you'll find the resources every time. But again, it's the decision is backed up by the action. We got to do something to find the resources. It won't just fall in our lap. We got to do something.
Exactly. Yeah. And my paradigm, the fear was keeping me back.
Yep.
That I see that totally clear now. So, okay, thank you for that. But one last question, maybe a little bit. Where is Tommy? I don't see Tommy anymore.
Yeah, he left. He went to go do his own thing.
Oh, okay, okay. And just while you were talking today, I had also an aha moment. I want to share that with you guys. You said you were also searching outside yourself, all those solutions, but go within. The solution is always within. I was always also doing that, like email marketing, search for something, so many online things.
Yeah.
Nothing, did nothing, just applying for everything.
Yeah.
But now I got to know, just look inside of you. Everything is there.
That's right.
So thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Those are great questions. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Anita. Okay, I'm going to take one here in the chat. Sabrina. So this question comes from studying Decision by Bob Proctor, which is, Chris was just referencing that article. Bob says to make the decision and you will attract what is needed. So I'm wondering if you could expand on the idea of what is one way I will know that it is showing up.
Look, here's the thing. It's like there's never one way. There's always many ways. And the truth is there's always a better way. You know, but again, it's that one quote, I think we did it this week. It's the quote from Steve Jobs. He said, it's always easy to connect the dots looking backwards. It's impossible to connect in looking forwards, but somehow you just have to trust the dots will connect in the future. So again, how do you know when you found it? It's when you find whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. You know, I always think of our Kim Calvert. She's our top consultant. And, you know, when Kim started this, she had no money. And she sold her car to start this, which to me, that sounds crazy, right? And looking back now, was that the only way? No, it was just the way she found at the time. You know, if she had, I mean, Kim will earn that in a day now, in a bad day. But again, she didn't have that awareness, you know, 5 years ago when she started. See, I think it honestly, it always comes back to the same thing. It comes back to fear. And fear is what really stops people. It's not normally the excuses we give ourselves. And looking back, I'm telling you from my own personal experience, I could have given you a lot of reasons, why I wasn't doing what I should have been doing. But the truth was I was scared, because I was scared to give up. It was a comfortable job. I had the consistent income. I wasn't satisfied, but we had it. And I was just comfortable. And it's a dangerous place to be. So again, I think it really always comes down to fear. I ended up actually borrowing money, which if you knew me, that was a very uncomfortable thing to do. I didn't like to ask for help. And again, looking back, was that the only way? No, it was just the only way I saw at the time.
Mm-hmm. Does that answer your question, Sabrina? Yeah, good. Okay. Thank you. Great question. Okay, John, I saw your hand go up and then down. So do you have a question?
Yeah. Hi to everybody. You can hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, with me now, I've been on this since, I suppose, middle of last year, finding Bob on YouTube, and I just went through everything. It's like, hey, this is my dad here. He's got so much information. But the thing is, all the information he's giving, I already got a big benefit of knowing a lot of it already. And this is from a Latter-day Saint. So I concur, and everything he's telling everybody, I can back it up. I know for myself. But not understanding about the paradigm, I've gone through all this. I know now a lot about it, and I know that the battle is on. It's been on for a long time already. And so I know it's different for everybody. Some people it's going to be really simple, and others it's not going to be so simple. For me, most of this is all about financial. For me, it's having the financials to go ahead with everything and finding the ways of being financial to do that. As for the learning processes, it's all down to routine, it's down to commitment, and it's down to determination of what you really want and what you want to really do and how to go about all those things. I just wanted to add those things because I know there's a lot of people that are in doubt. For me, it's not the question of doubt, it's just the actual fact of when I can. It's nothing other than that. But for a lot of people, I think that if they can do this, they need to grab on with both hands because the world's so changing now. And people are going to be really at an extreme loss if they don't find ways to find the way to where they want to really be. And as for me, with it was mainly about the paradigm because, as I say, back last year, I was already doing this, trying to change what I thought was the paradigm. And yet, I've got better ideas now of what it really all is about and to go ahead and keep on changing this. I thought it was a one paradigm at first, but now, learning over this session with learning about how to change paradigm, that it's a continuous thing. It does help because it gives you the idea of what's going to be happening and how to attack that and how to progress further from that. So, yeah, I just wanted to add that for those that need a little bit more inspiration to go ahead with it. I mean, as I say, with me, it's just a question of time. It may take me a year, it may take me 2 years, but, you will see me. You will see.
Yeah, and it's a good point, but we can speed up the time. It's Bob talked about, well, how do you speed up the process? And it's focus. It's always focus. Like if we put our energy and focus on something, and this is why a lot of time I'll get a question about, well, when it comes to creating multiple sources of income, should I go create a bunch of things at once? And absolutely not. Like you want to start with one thing first, get that up and running, producing some income, then you move on to the next thing. And it's because what you do, number one, you're focusing, you're putting your energy on one thing. But number two, the awareness that you develop to create that first successful business will carry over into the next thing that you do. See, a lot of people think, I was talking to someone yesterday about this too, like a lot of business owners will go out of business, right? They'll lose their business. Like I talk to people all the time that, they lost their business back in one of the economic crashes or whatever happened. And a lot of the times people will live the rest of their lives saying, man, I lost everything. And the truth is you may have lost the business, but you didn't lose the awareness that it took to develop that business in the first place. Awareness is never gone. It's always there. You see, what happens is we get emotionally involved in the loss. We think we got knocked down and we keep focusing on the circumstances, the results. We let that control our emotional state. Yeah, and it's a losing game, but you see, we're not aware that we're doing this. We don't see that we're doing this. This is why I think everybody.
That's why you need really to be really conscious about what your thoughts and your thinking really are. I mean, I've done it before and then I ignored it because I think I know better and all the things that I was doing. But then now I know what to be doing. It's just a case of getting it down to a scrutinizing routine where I can fit everything around where I need it to be and just keep on doing that every day.
Yeah.
So I help myself, and then when I'm developed to be able to do it, I'll be able to help other people do the very same things. Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing about this is everybody needs what we've got. It doesn't matter where they are, what level somebody's at. Like, see, we're all seeking further growth, further expansion, every single one of us. And that's why, like, everything goes back to the material. Like, it always goes back to the material. It's just sometimes we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. And I think we just live in a day and age right now where, you know, our attention is pulled in directions all the time. There's so much great teachings. I mean, right now there's probably like thousands of the great other 5-day events going on at any given time. And our attention gets pulled in all these different directions. And we got to learn how to focus, because you had made a really good point. Things are changing very rapidly. And one of my favorite quotes, I don't remember who said it, and it says, in times of rapid change, the learners will inherit the earth, while the learned will find themselves fit for a world that no longer exists. And there's no question we are times of rapid change. See, the whole point is when we commit and change our paradigm, it's not just the results that you create from doing that. It's you have an understanding of how to change your paradigm, because you're going to have to keep changing that paradigm. Like, this is why Bob was still studying this up until the day he died. It wasn't to get more, it was to grow and become more. That's what you got to fall in love with. You got to become obsessed with just being better. That's it.
Could I just add there, the thing is, with what you're mentioning there, it comes home to me with because of the gospel now, and because of the facts of the gospel. You know, they very strongly advise that, you know, a man can't change unless he changes himself. That's man and women, that is. But and you've got to be willing to change. You've got to be willing to look inside and willing to change yourself as it's taught. I'll leave it there because I just wandered off slightly. Sorry for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the beautiful thing is we all have the ability to do whatever we want to do. It's inside. I don't care where you're from, what the background is. You got everything you need.
Yeah, you do.
So,
absolutely.
Thank you, John.
Okay. Thanks, John.
That's fun.
I'm just going to mute you, John. Okay. We're going to go to the next question here. Thank you. Okay. So there's one here in the chat from Latisha. Often people view me as someone who lives this lavish lifestyle, which I don't really think I do, and my bank account doesn't say so. I want to bring the money that people think I have into my bank account. Please help.
So, let me read that one more time just to make sure I'm understanding. Is she on the call? Let's see her on here.
I don't see her on here. No.
So number one, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks to begin with, right? It really doesn't. The only question I'd be asking yourself, Latisha, is what is the lifestyle that you want to be living? That's the only thing I would focus on. Don't worry about what other people think of you. You know, the truth is, and Bob talked about it in his clip this week, is that people aren't thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves, you know? So I would really just be focusing on how you want to be living first and foremost. I wouldn't worry about what anybody else thinks of you.
Okay, great. Okay. Is there anybody else? I don't see any hands up. Anybody have any other burning questions they want to ask Chris before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
Just shortly after Bob died, I got I got a couple of messages. Well, I got something happened that was totally irregular. I mean, my phone wasn't, you know, when you put your phone down, it goes blank screen and all of that. Well, I got some message and I was really took out about it. Would these messages come from the institute, or you know, would that have come from the institute? Because you know, with the fact of faith and belief, I mean, the door is wide open. So, you know, anything that happens, a miracle or something, you know, I'm going to be taking attention to that. And I've had this happen with the phone that I'm using at the moment. And then I had an update going on, so I lost it. And my other phone, it happened about a week after, the same thing happened, but I managed to record it. And I recognise it as Bob, and I can't explain it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're always sending out messages. So even after Bob was gone, I mean, look, we've always known this.
I don't mean a normal email message or anything like that. This is totally different from all of that.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure I understand the question then.
All right. Well, what I mean is I had it was like a personal message from him, like saying a problem, and it gave me some. It gave a few little messages with the main message, and it was all like problem, holla, and a few other things, and it was all like a visual, but it wasn't in any kind of page form. It was really, you know, it was a miracle. It was like a miracle sort of thing happening, but through technology.
Mm-hmm.
It was a message from the universe, John.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, we're always getting messages. I think, again, it's what we talked about a little bit earlier on intuition. It's just like we got to learn to trust like hunches and different things. You know, Napoleon Hill talked about that. He talked about sixth sense. And, you know, I think we all have the ability to do these things, to tap in. It's just, you know, we don't allow ourselves to do it. We push it down. We leave it off. And we got to learn to trust ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. Good. Okay. All right. We have a couple more questions. So Denver, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
Okay, so I don't really have a question to say, but I just more or less want to just share a little experience I had today. From day one listening to the program, it was really encouraging and eye-opening. Like Chris said, you know, I always have that desire for more, but just following the masses, you know, getting a job, you stay in a job for 10 years, and you know, and by the time you realize 10 years pass, 15 years pass on, and you unhappy, you haven't achieved anything as yet, and you're in debt. But listening to the seminar this week, it has brought me to a point currently where, again, shifting that paradigm of mine. Today I was at a workshop and they asked for 4 volunteers. And normally I would be the one to, as long as you ask for a volunteer, I would know I'm not going to volunteer. No, not me. But today I was one of the first persons to volunteer to take part in a small activity, you know. Good. And again, by just getting up and volunteering, it just came to mind, like, hey, you just shift that paradigm, because normally I would never do it, you know, because maybe I was shy, I was fearful, and I just got up and do it, and I say no, that needs to stop. So if I did not do that, what was this week about? You understand? So I just got up. Yeah, I just got up and I just went to take part in the activity. And afterwards, it kind of felt good. I felt more encouraged, more empowered, you know, knowing that I actually I feel like I did the right thing, you know, and yeah. So I just
good for you.
It's a really big thing, I'm telling you, because that's ultimately, that's the only way you're ever going to change your image. See, like the writing and choosing the image is the passive side. It's taking those uncomfortable actions. You know, like even looking at Bob, like I don't think a lot of people realize, like Bob was very much an introvert, you know, and that's why
Right.
he had Bill Gove as a mentor, you know, and he said Bill Gove just taught him how to be comfortable in front of a group, because
Right.
Bob's purpose, that what he wanted to do, had to be stronger than his paradigm. Right.
Right.
But he was willing to have the courage and do those things and take those steps. So that's awesome, Denver. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
that's not a small thing. That's a big thing. And that's what
Right.
we should all be doing on a daily basis, is doing those kind of uncomfortable things.
Yes. Thank you. And I just want to add one more thing. Again, just listening to the whole week's program up to today, it has really given me that push again to just get out of my comfort zone, because that's what really kills a lot of us, because we believe that we are comfortable, but we are actually so uncomfortable that we don't even make a move. We don't even shift. We are so uncomfortable, you know. And right now, I'm just getting my or positioning myself rather to be uncomfortable and getting that mindset where I'll continue listening to Bob Proctor and the week's program again, and just getting that mindset to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And I
That's
feel
it.
it's all upwards from there. And one more thing, I just really want to thank you as my advisor. You know, I remember replying to an email that I really look forward to maybe meeting you one day and working side by side with you. But I just wanted to thank you. And again, I really want to continue that journey that I'm on until I accomplish all my goals, where I don't know how many I have, but you know, I want to accomplish all and more, you know,
Good.
because my family, and I try to encourage them the same way, my kids the same way, the same thing. So it's a long journey, but I feel it's a journey. I believe it's a journey that can be accomplished if
Absolutely.
with the right people, the right mindset, the right mentors, and and impact lives also. You know, make other people see things different and encourage them that it is possible despite the circumstances. That's one of the goals. Again, thank you, Chris.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. Great share, Denver. Thank you. Okay, Michelle, do you want to unmute yourself and come forward?
Hi,
Hi.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Can.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So I just wanted to kind of touch up on what John was saying about getting messages from Bob. And the other day, when he was talking about, I think what you have written on the back of your wall there, like your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, and then the little part is your body. I had messaged Monica and I said, like, this vision came up right away, and like it was like a bobblehead Bob. But like that stuff was written on like maybe the back of him, but it would be his face on the front of him, right? And I
That's
just
awesome.
thought like that would be so cool, not to disrespect him in any way, but like
Yeah.
to get, the message out. And then yesterday I felt like, and it's so weird, like I really do feel like I'm getting these messages, and it would be really cool if somebody could make videos where you could get in line with what it would be like to be in a millionaire's shoes. So like maybe walk through what an office might look like, or looking at different vehicles and what it would feel like if you're behind the wheel and that, but like have it so that it's through somebody else's eyes, but you get to like visualize yourself maybe being the one in the seat and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I just thought it might be an idea that maybe you guys could add to your curriculum, and having photos of that kind of stuff so people can make, maybe vision boards or that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, and this is the thing, is like it's there are some people doing that. Like there are some people that are working on that, and especially now with like VR and things like that, so it makes it even more real. But this is actually a really good thing, because you got to think there's probably thousands of people that have that idea at any given time, right?
right.
And it's about who is going to take that idea, because I'm sure everybody can relate where we see a product that came out and said, I had that idea years ago, why didn't I, they stole my idea. And the truth is ideas are in the ether, right? They're out there. It's just, again, if our paradigms, if we develop ourselves and develop that rock solid self-image where we have that belief in knowing that we can achieve whatever we set out to achieve, that's who's going to win. But this is why it's so important to find the things that excite you, things that you connect with. But that's a perfect example. Like if that's something that really connects with you, I promise you got everything you need to go do that if that's what you want to do.
Awesome.
But thank you for sharing.
I challenge you, Michelle, to go to a dealership and sit in a vehicle and test drive it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. So you know what? Just think of how that's going to make you feel, right? It's probably a big terror barrier, but it is. Yeah,
for sure. Because I've always been like, I've always been like kind of on a disability and always like very low income kind of thing. So that's why I had asked the question, how do you live like a millionaire? Because I don't know how to live like a millionaire, but things like that where it brings like a visual to you, it would make it easier for me to like actually be able to picture it when I do go into like a meditation or, you know, thing like that. So.
Well, Karen hit the nail on the head. It's the feeling, right? It's just, you got to get into that feeling of it. And the truth is you choose what that feeling is, you know, because one millionaire living one way may not be in harmony with the way you want to live, or someone else is exactly in harmony with you, how you want to live. So it all starts with in the imagination, like you choose it, you know, but you can absolutely go out there and experience some of these things and see for yourself.
Absolutely. Okay, I just want to be mindful of time. You're welcome. We've got a couple more questions and then we'll wrap it up. So, Am, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question? You said, can we do any professional courses or training in Procter Gallagher? Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that? Are you there? See if she unmutes herself. Okay.
So what was the question? Can we do any professional courses or training in Procter Gallagher? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have several different programs that we do here in ways in which we help people. You know, the one that we've been talking about this week has been primarily the consultancy, which is very specific. It's really for people that want to get into this industry and go build a business of their own. And, you know, obviously I'm biased. It's what I do. I think this is the best business in the world to be a part of. You can earn millions of dollars, but more importantly, you can design it and create it and do it the way you want to do it. It's just where we show you every step of the way of what to do and how to do it to do it at a very high level. So again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, you know, because I think a lot of the times for people that have never created a business, it's a whole new game, right? And they're not sure what to do. Well, the beautiful thing about that is you don't have to question the how. We show you the how. And that's really the only program we get into where we show you exactly how to go out there and build a successful coaching, consultant, and training business. You know, but then we have our other mentorship programs. Like we have our 12-month coaching program, which is really us coaching you to help you, number one, get clear on exactly what you want, but more importantly, getting into action. So it's where we teach you how to take all this material that you've learned this week and a lot more and learn how to put it into practice into your life so that you can see these amazing things happen. Because again, I think it's what I said earlier, it's very easy to come and study this and to know this and be able to talk it. But at the end of the day, our results always tell us whether or not we really understand it. And the coaching is always going to be near and dear to my heart. That's how I started here. I would not be here today if it wouldn't have been for that coaching program. But make no mistake, I had to put in the work and you have to put in the work too. So if you're really ready to get stretched, the coaching is an absolute life changer. Then we have our inner circle, which now is probably my favorite thing to study. Inner circle isn't where we just study Bob's material. This is where we study what Bob was studying. And Rosh touched on it a little bit today. It really came about from a conversation. You know, Bob was talking about how, you know, he created the biggest impact and the biggest stretches and achieved the biggest goals in his life was by being a part of Earl Nightingale's inner circle. And he said he just wanted to study what Earl was studying. He wanted to mastermind with them and think of new ideas and create new businesses. And, you know, Rosh said, well, that's what a lot of people want to do with you. And that's really how the inner circle got created. And it's where we get into a lot deeper philosophy not just the philosophies around this, but we're really going to dive into specific action steps you need to be, creating and doing in your life so that you can create a quantum leap.
Mm-hmm. And also, Sabrina had asked about the 7-figure self-image course. I guess Arash had mentioned. Do you just want to quickly? That's a course that's already in progress. Do you just want to talk quickly on that?
Yeah, I'm telling you, we are, and Karen can attest this. We are seeing some absolutely amazing success stories in a very short amount of time. 7-figure self-image. I mean, this is a program where we are really going to stretch you. We're going to get you to do a lot of very uncomfortable things, but not silly things. These are things that we know are going to help you achieve your goals. So, because we know at the end of the day, the only way you're ever going to change your image is by taking uncomfortable action. Because look, we can change from the inside out, but we can change from the outside in. And I think a combination of the two is the key. So it's really, again, it's a 90-day program. It's a sprint. I mean, it is a sprint, and we are seeing some absolutely amazing wins in a very, very short amount of time, more than what a lot of people thought. But for any of these programs, like if you're interested in learning more about how we can help you, I would suggest scheduling a time. I think, Karen, you just put the link to the Calendly.
Actually, I put the link to the playlist. I'll put your link for Calendly in right now. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so just feel free to reach out to Karen or myself, or click on the Calendly link, and we can schedule some time. To be totally transparent, all of our programs have financial investments. It just depends on the program and the payment plan. But again, if you're really looking for help and you're really ready to get started, you can schedule some time and we can kind of dive into it a little bit deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Well, let's bring this in for a landing. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. This has been wonderful and meeting everyone. And we really do encourage you to not stop today. And as I referenced there, I've just put the YouTube, which is a playlist of all of the segments from this entire week in one link. So that will be up until midnight Eastern Standard Time on Monday. So we do encourage you to, as Tom used to say, binge watch all weekend and enjoy. And if we can help you further, I've referenced Chris's calendar link there, as well as my email and contact phone number. So thank you again, and take good care. It was nice seeing everyone on today. And Chris, we'll leave it for the last words.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you all for showing up. I know, look, we got to make time to make the necessary changes. And, I applaud you guys for showing up today, for asking questions. Strongly encourage you guys to keep going through the lessons, like Karen mentioned, and more importantly, keep doing the exercises. A lot of these exercises aren't really designed to just go through once and finish. Like, you really want to keep putting some thought into these things, because this is how you're ultimately going to grow. So thank you again, and look forward to connecting with y'all. Take care.
Okay. Cheers.
Cool,
Bye-bye.
guys.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.